As the country continues to battle the COVID-19 pandemic, the focus is now on the National Treasury as county governments decry a looming cash crunch caused by the delay by the National Treasury to release some 66 billion shillings to help combat COVID-19 as well as run county government's affairs. This as the Wajir County Governor fights to defend his integrity as witnesses testify against him. Tonight on News Watch, we bring you the most comprehensive news. Good evening, I'm Tony Omondi, and our sign language interpreter is Boniface Murithi. Let's begin. An 11-member committee of the Senate has started hearings regarding the impeachment of Wajir Governor Mohamed Abdi Mohamud. The hearing, which started at 10:15 a.m. at the Senate chambers, saw both parties appear before the committee hearing the case with a team of lawyers led by Paul Nyamodi and Degwanjeru representing the governor. And as Dickens Luvanda reports, Wajir County Assembly unveiled to the committee, which is led by Nyamira Senator Okongo Mogeni, how the governor's supreme wife took over responsibilities of running the county.
Khaira Omar, Wajir County First Lady, has been the one running the county affairs despite the presence of Governor Mohamed Abdi Mohamud. This is according to the members of the Wajir County Assembly, who submitted a memorandum to the 11-member Senate committee that is hearing the impeachment of the embattled county boss.
The governor, since inception of the second county government of Wajir, has never done a single address, has never made a single address to the county government of Wajir. This clearly shows that the county government of Wajir has no direction at all.
They told the committee that top senior government officials in the devolved unit were fired at the whims of Khaira Omar and linked her to a constant reshuffling of the chief officers in the finance department 6 times within 2 years in what it claimed was aimed at destabilizing the docket so as to allow the siphoning of public funds through dubious contracts.
Orders to the employees of the county are given by the First Lady. Although it's not done formally, but the orders are given by her. It's clear and it's known to everybody in Wajir that she rules with iron fist. She's the one who is in charge of the county. The governor's responsibility is just to sign the documents, like the budget documents. But in the execution of the budget, the person who handles the chief officer finance, the person who handles the CEC finance, is the governor's wife. I want you to take on record as me saying that she sits in the sittings between the assembly and the governor.
Not in the executive.
Not in the executive.
Okay.
I have not mentioned the executive.
We'll order the other part which refers to the executive to be expunged from the answer.
Thank you.
And we take what you have said.
All these were revealed as the 11-member committee, chaired by Nyamira Senator Okongo Omogeni and deputized by Nakuru Senator Susan Kihika, started hearing the impeachment against Governor Mohamed Mohamud at the Senate chambers on Wednesday morning.
Does the county assembly have, or the county general have, a threshold on public participation?
These are just Wajir people who went to court and they were given that order. That clearly shows the people of Wajir are behind me. So anybody who's interested to come and follow me, his days are numbered. And let that person wait until 2022.
Governor Mohamud, who was impeached on April 27th, is represented by a team of lawyers led by Paul Nyamodi and Degwanjeru, while the county assembly MCAs are represented by senior counsel Ahmed Nasir Abdullahi. The governor's lawyer further opposed having Governor Abdi's wife, son and daughter as witnesses on the basis of them not being compellable, and said that the committee will likely compel them to testify against the governor. The parties have each lined up 3 witnesses as directed by the committee.
Allegations here being made about people, and the basis of the allegation is what purport to be bank statements, and those bank statements have not been authenticated. And the question he asks is that this witness will lead testimony, and we know that this is a political process. The information will be out there. What then will be done to heal any damage that will have been done by the admission of whatever these documents purport to be?
And of course, when I address the question of the character, Chair, I'm alive to the fact of the Article 28, which provides that everybody has a right to have that, to have dignity, and that dignity upheld and respected. If all this goes on record and the authenticity of this document stands out to be questionable, where shall we leave the right of Article 28 of the person being referred to?
Gravity, she's the fulcrum about all these things. This committee in its wisdom said that you will not call her. But everything, every allegations on this matter touches her. Now that she is not being called, either voluntarily or involuntarily, they can't come and say that, you know, every time there is human dignity, there is this. At the right time, we will address the legal issue that comes out of this. It's very simple. It's for us to show this committee persuasively that this is a proper document that is admissible in law.
Wajir County MCAs have laid several accusations against Governor Mohamud, including allowing his spouse to literally run the affairs of the county as the de facto authority, awarding contracts running into millions of shillings to companies associated with his family, and gross violation of the constitution.
Contractors who have been awarded contracts are now being paid. Here I have got one director by the names of Osman Abdi Jimali, who has 7 companies. This is a man whom I said in my affidavit is an associate or runs proxy companies for the governor and his wife.
Investigations into Governor Mohamed Mohamud's impeachment continues tomorrow. Dickens Luvanda, Hope TV News Watch.
The Nairobi Metropolitan Services NMS Director General Mohamed Badi, together with Nairobi County Acting Governor Anne Kananu, have launched the first blood collection center in the Nairobi metropolitan area. The Smart Bank, which is located at the Mama Lucy Hospital, was made possible through a partnership with Life Bank and the Kenya National Blood Transfusion Service. This even as the COVID-19 pandemic has impacted heavily on blood donation efforts in counties, with Machakos in particular seeing donation going down by 5,000 pins per year compared to 15,000 pins in previous years. Mark Kimono reports.
Being one of the government's aims of improving blood sustainability in the country, the Nairobi Metropolitan Service NMS and Nairobi County Government have launched the first blood collection center at Mama Lucy Hospital, dubbed Smart Bank, in partnership with Life Bank and Kenya National Blood Transfusion Service.
The very needy did not even know where to get blood or how to access the required quantity of blood quickly and efficiently in terms of when it comes to emergencies. The blood bank system that existed did not have the proper tools for managing and collecting blood to respective donors and hospitals. Today, I am happy to witness a technological transformation that will ensure that the regular Mwananchi in Nairobi receives blood without the trouble of getting relatives and friends to come and donate blood.
Data by NTSA show that road fatalities between January and December last year stood at 3,663 compared to 3,508 during the same period in 2019. Many people lose their lives due to excess bleeding after accidents. The blood bank is expected to play an important role in patient care not only in Nairobi, but also in other counties in Kenya.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I remind you that at the time, the Hamafu system was the first system of its kind in Kenya. I look forward to hearing more of good things about the Smart Bank blood system and how to ease blood transfusion to especially to residents of this area. Generally, Badi, if there is any technological challenge, please remember that Nairobi County has in place a data center which will be able to host this system.
Based on World Health Organization guidelines for the proportion of donors relative to total population, Kenya should be collecting as much as 1 million units of blood a year.
Every single day, there are more than 8 or 9 people that we used to cancel their surgeries. I used to work in the medical wards at level 7 and level 8. And you find that there are people who sometimes they need the cleaning of their wounds or debridements, And sir, they could stay in Kenyatta National Hospital for 2 weeks, for 3 weeks, just because we are waiting for that pint of blood, or just 2 pints of blood, so that they could be taken to theatre.
Meanwhile, Nairobi Metropolitan Services Director General Mohamed Badi said in conjunction with the Ministry of Health they have reviewed the referral system to allow the current 24 hospitals under construction in Nairobi to handle all the walk-in cases.
To access to adequate and safe blood for transfusion will significantly reduce the cost of healthcare and blood-related deaths.
Mark Kimondo for Newswatch, Nairobi.
Mark, for that report. Uganda's President Yoweri Museveni was today sworn in for a 6th elective term in a ceremony attended by several heads of state, including President Uhuru Kenyatta. The 76-year-old leader has been in power since 1986 after civil war. In his inauguration address, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni said Uganda had transitioned from a country of deficits to an economy of surpluses in agricultural production and manufacturing during his tenure. At the same time, President Museveni castigated and named foreign powers for continuing to lecture African countries on good governance, saying some of them don't mean well for the continent. Alice Diana has this report.
On behalf of the Commission, I do congratulate you, candidate Yoweri Museveni Kaguta, for being elected President of the Republic of Uganda for another term.
Yoweri Kaguta Museveni was on Wednesday sworn in as Uganda president for a 6th term in a ceremony attended by various African leaders, among them President Uhuru Kenyatta.
This is a wonderful, dedicated team with whom
Presidents Felix Tshisekedi of DRC Congo, Salva Kiir of South Sudan, Nana Akufo-Addo of Ghana, Emerson Mnangagwa of Zimbabwe, Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo of Somalia, and Samia Suluhu of Tanzania were among heads of state who also attended the ceremony held at Kololo Independence Grounds in central Kampala. Museveni took the oath of office as jubilant supporters cheered, and dignitaries, government officials, and regional heads of state observed.
Yoweri Kaguta Museveni swear in the name of the Almighty God that I shall faithfully exercise the functions of the President of Uganda and shall uphold, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution.
Afterwards, the president received the instruments of power from the Chief Justice before he addressed the country.
Instruments of power, one by one, presented to him by the Chief Justice.
In his inauguration address, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni said Uganda had transitioned from a country of deficits to an economy of surpluses in agricultural production and manufacturing during his tenure.
I'm glad we are working on the continental free trade area for the common market of the whole of Africa and on the Confederation of East Africa as a first step to the East African
The
Political
Ugandan leader thanked President Kenyatta and other regional heads of state for opening up their markets to Ugandan exports, including sugar and maize surpluses. At the same time, President Museveni castigated and named foreign powers for continuing to lecture African countries on good governance, saying some of them don't mean well for the continent.
Pia nataka kushukuru Mheshimiwa Uhuru Kenyatta amenipatia mkataba wa tani elfu 90 kwa kila mwaka.
For Hope TV Newswatch, I'm Alice Diana.
As schools reopen this week, county governments have announced measures to combat the spread of COVID-19 and avert future crises. Council of Governors COG Chairman Martin Ombora says a total of 1.1 million face masks have been distributed to learners and trainees in public ECD centres and vocational training centres. Meanwhile, the COG has called on the National Treasury to expedite the release of 66 billion shillings owed to the county governments for counties to improve their response measures to COVID-19, pay pending bills and develop the county's Dolly Muregi has this report.
As schools resumed on Monday, the Council of Governors has put in place measures in order to safeguard the healthcare of learners and teachers. Addressing the media on Wednesday, the Council of Governors announced new measures to combat the spread of the virus, including fumigating common areas and learning stations.
Additionally, information posters have been placed strategically to remind the learners, these young learners, on proper hand washing techniques and correct usage of face masks. County governments, in cooperation with the learning institutions, have built additional classrooms to ensure proper social distancing and safe movement between learners, trainers, trainees and teachers, as well as instructors in classrooms and workshops.
Last week, the Ministry of Health reported that Indian variant of the virus is now in the country, and now governors want members of the public to take full responsibility and double up preventive measures as the county governments ensure testing at the border points. In the last 1 week, the Council of Governors says the total number of available beds in isolation centres was 6,032, the number increasing by 313 as a result of patients who have recovered from COVID-19 infections, bringing the total number of available beds to 6,345.
ICU beds last week, the total number of available beds in ICU were 282. These numbers increased by 78. Bringing the total number of available beds in ICUs to 360, a marked reduction in the number of admissions in ICUs. The same has happened to HDU units. Last week, the total number of available beds in HDU facilities was 101. The number has increased by 22, bringing the total number of available beds to 123, another marked reduction in numbers of admission in HDU.
With the vaccination process ongoing in the 47 counties, at least more than 900,000 doses have been administered to healthcare workers, security personnel, teachers, and those above 58 years of age.
We know that the Ministry of Health intends to recall the unused vaccines in the counties of Kware, Samburu, Madera, Wajir, Ishoro, Tana River, and Lamu. However, we have analyzed the consumption of the deployed vaccines and find that the number of unused doses is quite low, and therefore counties will be able to utilize the vaccines before the end of their shelf life.
The Council of Governors has further written to the National Treasury requesting the release of 66 billion owed to county government. Dolly Muregi for Hope TV News Watch.
In all, the country has recorded 410 new COVID-19 cases from a sample size of 3,799 tested in the last 24 hours, with the positivity rate standing at 10.8%. The total number of confirmed cases is now at 164,386. From the new cases, 393 are Kenyans, while 17 are foreigners. Addressing the press at the Afia House, Nairobi, Health CS Dr. Rashid Aman said the death toll from the virus has risen to 2,950 after 22 patients succumbed to the virus. At the same time, 67 patients have recovered from the disease, with 10 of them coming from the home-based care, while 57 were discharged from the various hospitals across the country. The total recoveries now stand at 113,124. In terms of admissions, a total of 1,049 patients are currently admitted to various hospitals countrywide, while 4,823 patients are on home-based isolation and care. 119 patients are in the intensive care unit ICU, 22 of whom are on ventilatory support and 74 on supplemental oxygen. Away from that, a total of 36 Garissa County MCAs have signed a petition seeking to remove the County Assembly Speaker Ibrahim Ahmed Abbas from office on grounds of gross violation of the Constitution, incompetence, gross misconduct, among others. Led by Malimin MCA Mohamed Aden, the MCAs said they've already served the Assembly clerk with the petition, who is expected to notify the Speaker of their intention to impeach him. The Dab MCA Mohamed Abdi said the Speaker has resorted into running the Assembly in total disregard of the Constitution, adding that the impeachment has nothing to do with clan or politics.
Signed members of County Assembly members have officially filed a notice of motion by way of impeachment in accordance with the Constitution of Kenya 2010, Article 73, Article 75, Article 178, Article 201, and Article 232, subsection C of the Elections Act of 2011 and the standing orders of the Garissa County Assembly on the following grounds: A, gross violation of the Constitution or any other law, incompetence, gross misconduct, and abuse of office. Therefore, we wish to direct the following. Number one, it is expected that the clerk of the Garissa County Assembly shall serve the notice to the Speaker within the specified timeline. Number two, that the Speaker is entitled to a fair administrative process, that pending the full determination of the entire process, the Speaker shall desist from giving, directing, and instructing any staff or honorable member in accordance with the County Government Act.
With that, Newswatch now takes a short break. Still have more lined up for you after this short break.
Join John Cosson every weekday as he takes us on a journey through the Bible.
Whoever shall seek to save his life, if you go back to living for yourself, you're going to lose it. But whoever shall lose his life, give up his life for my sake, he shall preserve it.
Enjoy interesting, knowledge-packed, yet simple teachings through his humor and in-depth understanding of God's Word.
The last people that tried to put God in a box, literally, he rose again. He wouldn't stay in their compartment. If God was small enough for me to figure out, he wouldn't be big enough for me to worship.
Tune in to Hope TV for John Cosson every 10 p.m., 4 a.m., and 10 a.m. weekdays on Hope TV, where you look and live.
Welcome back to the second segment of Newswatch. The National Council of Churches of Kenya, NCCK, Uasin Gishu chapter has called on politicians to take a back seat on BBI issues and let Kenyans decide its fate. NCCK members from Uasin Gishu and Elgeyo Marakwet counties also asked the government to print enough and right copies of the BBI to allow Kenyans to read and be well versed with its content. In a media briefing at the Reformed Church of East Africa Guest House in Eldoret, the clergy led by Venerable Solomon Chelal at the same time condemned the recent arson attack in Elgeyo Marakwet County.
The government to give the citizen the right document, because we are living in a confusion to understand the real document about the BBI, because we are hearing that there is different style, different copies with different fashions. But as a church, we are calling for the right one, which will be delivered to the people to read and to do more civic education that the church needs to read, so that the citizens of this nation can make the right choices when it comes to the time of referendum. Ambaye iliweza kuendelea kule Embabut ya kuweza kuchoma manyumba, sisi kama viongozi ya kanisa tunaikataa hiyo tendo, kwamba iweze kushindwa sana na isiendelee, kwa maana tunaomba kwamba wacha watu waishi kwa amani, wacha watu waweze kufurahia jamii, na wacha hata serikali pia kupitia idara ya usalama tukaona kwamba labda wale ambao walitenda hilo kitendo iweze pia kuchukuliwa sheria ya nchi hii. Na zaidi haya tunaomba pia wakaji ya hiyo sehemu kwamba tuhubiri amani na tukaweza kukaa kwa umoja na upendo wa Mwenyezi Mungu.
Use of cattle wrestling, it was changed from the social thing, and now it has become a business that is used to get money from people, those whom we have just decided to say that they are just like criminals because they are no longer a social issue as it was in the beginning.
Moving on, 7 aspirants, among them 3 members of the late MP Paul Koinange's family, are set to battle it out for the Jubilee ticket to vie in the forthcoming Kiambaa by-election. This is after the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, IEBC, in a Gazette notice dated May 11, 2021, released a list of candidates for the Kiambaa constituency and Muguga Ward, Jubilee and UDA party primaries. Faith Imanimugo reports.
3 members of the late MP Paul Koinange's family will battle it out for the Jubilee ticket to vie forthcoming Kiambaa by-election among 4 others. The Independent and Electoral Boundaries Commission, IEBC, in a Gazette notice dated May 11, 2021, released a list of candidates for the Kiambaa constituency and Muguga Ward, Jubilee and UDA party primaries. In the notice, IEBC listed June Wajugu Koinange, the widow of the late MP, Lena Catherine Koinange, daughter of the former cabinet minister Mbinyu Koinange, and Lena's niece Damaris Wambui Waigajo, Josephat Kamanya Gichui, Karanja Wainaina, Eric Bugwa and Charles Munywi as persons who will contest in the Jubilee primaries. The 7 will face off in the Jubilee party primaries this coming Saturday, May 15, 2021. IEBC also listed names and signposts of the 4 independent candidates planning to participate in the by-election. The 4 are Harrison Wajigi, David Munyinyi, Joseph Gisheno, and Willie Kamau. Kiambaa constituency lost its MP Paul Koinange to COVID-19 related complications on March 31st this year. The Jubilee Party primary for Kiambaa constituency will be conducted at the Commission's gazetted polling stations in the constituency on 22nd May 2021. Faith Imani Mugo reporting for Hope TV Newswatch.
More than 13,000 residents of Taita Taveta County are set to benefit from the Universal Health Coverage Program started by the county government to assist vulnerable residents to freely access medical services in the entire county. According to county officials who spoke to the media, the initiative will enable the county residents to access medical services easily as they wait for their NHIF cards. However, for now, the residents can use their ID cards to access medical services. Local residents have lauded the county government for the initiative that has come as a sigh of relief to most of them who could not access medical services due to lack of NHIF cards.
And the reason why we have to biometrically enroll the identified indigents, one is to ensure that when they go to access care, none of them is turned away without accessing health care simply because they don't have NHIF cards. So we want to increase the level of access by allowing just the use of ID number and fingerprints.
Tulianza mwezi wa 12 kwa kufundishana, tukafundisha na CHVs, nao wakaenda katika nyumba zetu wakiandikisha kwa kutumia simu.
Changamoto tunazopitia pale hasa ni hali ya ule umaskini wa jamii. Jamii kwa mara nyingi utakuta katika familia moja watu hawawezi hata kufikia zahanati mahali iko, ni kwa umbali. Alafu hali ya kifedha pia kwao ni ya chini. Sasa utakuta wengi wenye magonjwa, hasa magonjwa sugu, wanaathirika pale na hawana pesa za kujisaidia hata waendapo hospitalini.
Let's look at some international news. A heavy bombardment on the Gaza Strip has continued as Israeli forces launched intensive raids on various locations across the besieged coastal territory. Hamas, the group that rules the Gaza Strip, has confirmed that its Gaza City commander, Bassem Issa, has been killed in an Israeli airstrike along with other senior members of the group. Local sources said Israeli fighters' jets bombed sites belonging to Palestinian armed groups in addition to security and police buildings. Gaza's Ministry of Health said the overall death toll since the latest offensive began stood at 53, including 14 children. More than 300 others have been wounded, and 6 Israelis have also been killed. The Israeli army said that about 1,500 rockets have been fired from Gaza towards various locations in Israel, and they have added reinforcements near the enclave as eastern lands. Meanwhile, the deadly exchange of fire between Palestinian militants in the Gaza Strip and the Israeli military has escalated significantly, with the United Nations fearing a full-scale war. In Ethiopia, a deliberate campaign to prevent farming is unfolding in war-hit Tigray, according to a top regional official, warning that the result will be starvation as food diminishes. At the same time, Ethiopia government says majority of the people killed during a mass killing in the war-torn Tigray region last year were fighters and not civilians, as reported by rights groups. Officials have presented new findings relating to mass killings in the city of Axum in late November. The officials say 93 people were killed by forces from neighboring Eritrea, and they were mostly from the Tigray's People's Liberation Front, TPLF. In Nepal, the number of COVID-19 cases is skyrocketing, pushing the healthcare system to the brink of collapse. Many people worry that the country is headed for a crisis like that of neighboring India, as many work in India and live in Nepal. Meanwhile, India's top health official, Dr. Balram Bhangava, says that counties with 10% positivity rate and above should remain locked down for another 6 to 8 weeks. The head of the Indian Council of Medical Research, ICMR, responding to the coronavirus situation, has said this will help districts reporting a higher number of infections control the spread of the disease. Currently, 3/4 of India's 718 districts have what is known as a test positivity rate above 10%, including major cities like New Delhi, Mumbai, and the tech hub of Bengaluru. Right, let's take another short commercial break on News Watch. When you come back, we'll be looking at business and sport news.
We praise together, we praise Him.
Whether you are fat or thin, and for me, I don't consider myself fat. I consider myself good for my purpose. To hug women. When they come crying and they come and hug me, they just come and I hug them and they cry and cry and cry until they are comfortable.
We praise together, we praise Him.
Welcome to Activate.
It's a good morning! Good morning!
Kickstart your day with George and Kerry on the Sweet Hour of Prayer.
And welcome to Activate, this being the station where you listen and live Hope FM.
From Nairobi to the world.
Great music just for you.
Activate.
The only show that keeps you activated!
Yes, indeed.
Activate. Every weekday morning from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. Only on Hope FM, where you listen and live.
Let's continue with business news. Mizizi Africa Homes Chief Executive Officer George Mburu has handed a 50,000 shilling check to KCSE 2020 top candidate Robinson Manjala Simiyu as a token of appreciation for raising the profile of Murang'a High School. On Monday, Education Cabinet Secretary Professor George Magoha announced Simiyu the best performing student after he scored an A of 87.334. Mburu, an alumni of Murang'a High School, showed gratitude to Simiyu when the top student and his parents paid him a courtesy visit at Mizizi Africa Homes offices in Westlands on Tuesday.
You have made us proud, and generally as a country, you have made us proud, and you have shown that hard work pays, and also the fear of God and respect is important. And we as people who have gone before you, I can assure you the future is bright.
Mrs. Holmes, I have you to thank for this. You have been the first actually amongst the many to recognize Robin for the exemplary performance that he performed. I'm so glad to learn that even the CEO actually learned that Murang'a and they lived in the same dormitory. So he's an alumni of Murang'a High School. And the fact that he left Murang'a and has made it this far, I think is very inspiring for Robin and even for the other boys as well. This is going to go a long way in boosting Robin and also the other boys in Murang'a for them to be able to do well and succeed. He's actually one sure example of success.
This is a wonderful opportunity that I would like to take to thank Mizizi Homes for this token of appreciation. I don't take it for granted. Thank you so very much.
PwC has released the 7th edition of its comprising updates on VAT regimes in 41 African countries. PwC's 2021 Africa VAT Guide highlights compliance-related initiatives such as the adoption of real-time VAT reporting and data analysis by various tax administrations to show up their collections. With the theme of moving towards a united Africa, this edition is focused on Africa's journey into the future and how different countries' VAT regimes helps to shape that journey. The guide has been compiled by PwC Index tax experts with hands-on experience in each of the 41 countries represented in the report.
Through the pandemic, we've seen a lot of social economic disruption, and the pandemic has been associated and perhaps even blamed for the social economic disruptions that we are seeing. At PwC, we had already started seeing some of these disruptions happening even way before the pandemic. In actual fact, we hazard to say that the pandemic has just merely accelerated some of the trends that we were actually observing before the pandemic. There's been a lot of pressure on African governments when it came to the demographics pressures that our young population in Africa places on governments, whether it's unemployment, whether it's aspects to do with quality education. The pandemic has basically accelerated the pressure on the government. We've seen a lot of disruption, which was already happening on the continent, whether from a climatic perspective or whether it's to do with technology. We've seen the continent embrace technology even more than it had before. The level of trust in government as well as institution has also been called to challenge. The Africans are asking for more accountability from institutions as well as governments. Having acknowledged these mega trends to have been there and continue to exist even with the pandemic, a question is called on us as a continent to critically look at how we actually look at ourselves going forward. And in our view, in the midst of the gloom, the Africa Free Trade or Africa Continental Free Trade Area presents us with an opportunity that allows us to rethink how we restart our economies, how we rethink our economies, and how we reconfigure our economies into the future.
And to some sports news now. Former Bandari coach Bernard Mwalala has been appointed into the Kakamega Homeboys FC technical bench for a one-year deal ahead of the FKF Premier League restart. Elsewhere, Manchester City were crowned Premier League champions for the third time in 4 seasons as Leicester City secured their first Old Trafford victory over Manchester United, and Chelsea will aim to solidify their position in the top 4 of the Premier League table when they welcome London rivals Arsenal to Stamford Bridge tonight. This and more in our sports update with Joseph Maingi.
Kakamega Homeboys Football Club has roped former Bandari coach Bernard Mwalala into their technical bench for a 1-year deal ahead of the Football Kenya Premier League restart. The club's chairman Cleophas Shimanyolo said that Mwalala was unveiled today, noting that they have been sorting his services thanks to his rich experience in the local league. Shimanyula has however not revealed the specific position the youthful tactician will hold in the technical bench with the former Harambee Stars captain Nicholas Muyoti heads. Mwalala, who was a lethal Harambee Stars striker in his prime, parted ways with Bandari last year following a poor result in the 2019-2020 season. In the Premier League, Manchester United were beaten 2-1 at home by Leicester City last night, ending Manchester City's wait to be crowned the English Premier League champions. The results left Manchester City 10 points clear of United with just 3 games left for both teams, wrapping up a third Premier League title season in 5 seasons under Pep Guardiola. Elsewhere, Danny Ings scored twice on his return from injury to help Southampton bounce back from conceding an early goal and beat Crystal Palace 3-1 in the Premier League clash at the St Mary's Park last night. In tonight's fixture, Chelsea welcome Arsenal to the Stamford Bridge tonight for the Premier League London derby. The Thomas Tuchel side is hosting Arsenal, assured of a top 4 place following their 2-1 victory over champions-elect Manchester City last time out, while Arsenal kept their fleet in the European showpiece alive by beating West Bromwich Albion 3-1. The Blues are third in the table before today's game, while Midway Gunners are languishing in the 9th place before the trip across the capital. And that's your sports. I'm Joseph Maingi.
Right, we've come to the end of this live broadcast of News Watch Tonight. Thank you so much for always keeping us company. So we'll see you again tomorrow at the same time. I'm Tony Moni, our sign language interpreter has been Boniface Murithi. Have a good night. God bless.